In today's video, I have come to one of my favorite woodland spots to take macro photos just like these. Most of the time in my videos, I end up walking around quite a lot, hiking through forests or over hillsides and things to find shots. But often one of the hardest parts of macro photography is actually finding those photos. So today, rather than walk for ages and ages through forests covering miles and stuff, I'm instead really narrowing my focus. So I've come back to a spot that I know and I love. It's these little wooden logs that's in this bit of woodland not far from where I live. And this is an area where I've shot many times before, including quite recently, because we always get loads of insects, there's loads of plant life. And what I want to try to do is really slow down my photography. I'm not trying to hike through, I'm not trying to quickly take photos while on holiday and I'm snapping away at anything. Instead, I really want to kind of study this area, see what I can find when I spend the time really looking. And I've only been here a few minutes and I've already seen so many things. There's all kinds of insects going around, there's wasps and bees, there's loads of flowers in bloom and interesting leaves. I've got my 100mm macro on my camera, I've got some lights with me, so I am ready to start exploring. These orange insects looked great and were all over the place. And given the coupling going on, it was clearly mating season and I was probably intruding. Though not as much as this guy who was quite keen to interrupt. Or maybe to join in. I was using a Zhiyun LED light stick to bring in my own light here, which let me brighten the insects up under the shadowy canopy of the trees. And it really helped them stand out in the image. I merged various focus points here to get a sharper image, and I'm generally pleased with how these have come out. I used the same technique to capture a few different images of these insects, but it was this one as my personal favourite from the day, as I love its position clinging to the edge of this leaf with the details on its abdomen exposed and the overhead LED really helping it stand out. So I've not even been moving around so far, I've just been perched on this log and I've just been watching nature happen, and all around me are amazing insects flying around. I'm seeing some down here, I'm seeing flowers over here, there's some sort of bee flying around over there, there's a butterfly over there. Just being surrounded by all this stuff is amazing. And the longer I sit, the more I see. I often talk about the value of slowing down in photography, but I definitely think it's a lesson that I need to remember myself, because I often end up being quite frantic with my shooting, but I love the feeling I get when I do slow things down. Not just in terms of the images I get, but how I actually feel in myself. Taking those like Zen moments just to breathe in my surroundings. And actually, just while I've been sitting here, I found these 3 little buttercups on these long stems, and I really like how they look, particularly if I go at something like f2.8 wide open. And I can position them with that lovely bokeh in the background, so they really stand out. I think something like this actually looks really nice. Just trying to do manual focus stacking here by having my focus set manually at quite a close point to the lens. Camera set to burst mode, and I'm just going to slowly move the camera inwards, and as I do, I fire away. Just waiting for the wind to drop and that leaf to stop shaking. Start firing away, move the camera towards the subject. As I do, that focus point passes over it. Hopefully then I'm getting all the shots I need. I can blend those together later. I've been watching this little thing for a while. I'm going to try and get a shot, but I'm going to try and focus bracket this. It looks like it's about to move. Is it about to move? Yeah, it's wandering off. I tried a little one, but he wasn't interested in me hanging around. One of the biggest problems that I'm having is just that it's a fairly breezy day. And when I'm focused in really quite close on these insects on these leaves, as you can see, the wind is blowing them back and forth. And that does mean that they are constantly coming in and out of frame. It's really difficult to focus. It's really difficult to use my settings because I need to use a faster shutter speed to make sure that they're sharp. So what I'm pretty much doing is just getting my shot nicely framed up, and then hopefully that will mean that I can just wait for that wind to die down and take my shot. But it does mean I need to be very patient. Behind me, one of these very pretty, delicate little pink flowers. Trying to frame it up so I've got this little bit of leaf in there as well. At f2.8 we're getting a really shallow depth of field, so only these tiny central stamen of this flower are in focus, but I do quite like the effect it gives. Slightly shifting my position so I can focus on different little patches. The only problem I do have is that this area is a little bit shaded, so trying to use just natural light here is a little bit tricky. My LED's run out of battery. I don't really want to use flash right now. Another little pink flower. This one's got a tiny fly on it. Hello, friend. A little bit closer on that fly itself. I'm going to try and do a manual focus stack here, just by firing away, twisting that focus barrel. Hopefully I've got enough shots to piece that together. If I have, here it is. Well, that brings me to an end of today's video. I really hope that you've enjoyed seeing the sorts of shots that I would get when I've got a little bit more time on my hands and I try and narrow my focus on areas just like this. If you struggle to find macro shots yourself, if you've done what I've done and gone out for walks through woodlands and things, carrying all your equipment on your back for mile on end, and then struggle to find the sort of shots that you were hoping for, then do the opposite. Put that kit bag down, narrow your search to a small area, give yourself a few square meters of ground and really spend that time sitting, waiting, being patient, seeing what you can find. If you have enjoyed this video, then do please give it a like, and of course do consider subscribing to my channel if you don't already, and I will see you next time.